Did not start, did not finish. Let's talk about it.
If you're going to face a real challenge, it has to be a real challenge. You can't accomplish anything without the possibility of failure.
Paramedic! Wait a little bit. Paramedic!
Julie catch a rabbit by his ear. Come back, step like to walk on in.
We feeling a little paranoid on our last day?
When did Noah build the ark, Lettuce? Before the rain. Before the rain.
This is the second Hacking Ultra Mindset episode. The first one was on beginner's mind, and I'll include the link to that in the description of this video. I am working at the Carolina Panthers' first home preseason game tonight. I thought this would be a good time to talk about DNS, DNF. Did not start and did not finish. This project began with a hypothesis. The hypothesis is, given modest or significant preparation, I can complete a 100-mile foot race. The thing about hypotheses are they can be proven true or false. And technically speaking, the experiment will be a success whether we prove the hypothesis true or false. Of course, I like to prove it true. DNS and DNF are interesting topics. With both of them, we operate in a certain level of denial. Leading up to the event, we really don't accept any possibility except we are going to start this event. And while we're in the event, especially when things get tough, if we go into the pain cave or we have difficult times on course, we don't want to give too much voice to the possibility of DNF. But we don't want to get too lost in our denial. When mountaineers climb Everest, they ask the mountain for permission. And it's key, in the case of climbing Everest, it's key to survival that you listen to the mountain. And if the mountain gives you permission, then you summit it. If the mountain does not give you permission, then you don't. Many years ago at a sales conference, I had the good fortune to meet Ed Viesters. He was the keynote speaker at our sales conference, and he is the first person to summit all 8 14,000 meter peaks without supplemental oxygen.
Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude? Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude? Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude? Did I drive last night? Yeah, I think so. Really? I'm not sure. Dude, where's your car? Dude, it's not funny, dude. The car's gone. Yeah. Dude, where's my car? Shut up, dude! Okay. Dude, where's my car? Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude? Dude, there's your car. Oh.
And one of the themes of Ed's keynote speech was that many mountaineers have the wrong goal. Too many mountaineers believe that the goal is the summit. And according to Ed, the summit is not the goal. The goal is the summit and returning home safely. That's the complete mission. And too many mountaineers have paid with their lives for not understanding this. Our 50K, 50-mile, 100-mile race is not quite the stake of climbing a 14,000 meter peak, but I think there's a great lesson we can take from this. It's important to recognize that it's not a given that we will be allowed to start or allowed to finish. And we have to not only be okay with that, we need to embrace it. The most important thing is that we stay in touch with our body, our mind, and the world around us. It's really a balance between our drive for what we want to achieve and maintaining perspective as to how these goals and aspirations fit into our broader lives in general. There's one story that I can tell you about DNF and DNS that really illustrates how we can be grateful for these things. The DNF part of this story is not my DNF, but it's one that I benefited from. The second part of this story is a did not start story, and I was a willing participant in that one. So the first part of this was the Duncan Ridge, for me, 30K in 2014. This was about a month after I completed my first 50K, my only 50K, the Sky to Summit. There was an aid station where the 50K route and the 30K route split. Again, I was registered and planning for the 30K all along, but another gentleman had registered for the 50K, but by the time he made it to this aid station, it was clear to him that he did not have the 50K in him that day. This was not his first 50K. And I really don't know what the situation was, whether it was a fueling issue, whether he had an injury, or whether he just wasn't feeling it that day. But for whatever reason, my soon-to-become new friend decided to drop down to the 30K. So we'll call this friend Baker. Baker and I left the aid station together. I was being that guy by playing music over my Bluetooth speaker. And I tried to be mindful and not play it while other people were around, but I was spending lots of time by myself without people around me, so I didn't feel like I was bothering anyone. Well, when Baker and I started running together, I kept the music off at first, but then I asked his permission and said, hey, I've been running by myself today, I've been listening to music, do you mind if I play it? And he said, sure, no problem. So I found out later that it was possibly the most annoying thing of his day to be listening to the Grateful Dead for the last, hour of the race. But in any event, Baker and I kept each other company, had great conversations, and we really started becoming friends in this shared journey through pain and exhilaration. Fast forward almost a year later, and we decided to meet up for the Duncan Ridge 50K. We both were registered, we were psyched, booked a motel room in Cleveland, Georgia. I got there a few hours before Baker, and back then I was a pretty good beer drinker. So I had quite a few before he got there. Once he showed up, we were both so excited. We both started drinking beer a little bit. Long story short, that evening found us in Dahlonega, Georgia, listening to a new live band I had found, more Grateful Dead. Baker's a pretty patient dude. It must have been 3, 4 in the morning, and I don't remember who said it first, but one of us asked the other, are we going to make it to the starting line? And I think we both were relieved when whichever one said it first said, no. So we were both pretty okay with it, I think, but we knew that we might be a little disappointed in the morning, having failed at our goal to start this race. So we agreed in that early morning that we'll sleep as long as we want, we'll wake up, and we will find a trail. So sure enough, the next morning we slept maybe, I don't know, if it was 8 or 9 in the morning, woke up, made our coffee, and we ended up hiking the AT from Neal's Gap up to Blood Mountain. Nice, easy hike. It was a beautiful morning. If Mike had not DNF'd that 50K a year earlier, and he and I did not start the 50K a year later, then we would not have had the experiences that we did.
Hey, sorry for the abrupt change in attire, but one point that I left out about the Baker story that's pretty interesting is while we were at the outfitter store at Neal's Gap, we met the Creeper Keeper. He is the trail maintainer for the Virginia Creeper Trail, and the 100-mile run that I'm tentatively targeting is the Yeti 100 endurance run, which takes place on the Virginia Creeper Trail. So full circle all over again.
It reminds me of a story of a Chinese farmer. One morning he woke up and his horse had run away. All of his neighbors were like, "Oh, we're so sorry, that's horrible." And the farmer said, "Perhaps." The next day, his horse came back and brought with it a whole herd of wild horses. All his neighbors were excited. They said, "That's so awesome, congratulations." And the farmer said, "Perhaps." The next morning, his son was trying to break one of the wild horses, fell off and broke his leg. All the neighbors were so sympathetic. "We're so sorry, this is horrible." And the farmer said, "Perhaps." So the day after that, the army came by and they were conscripting all young men to go fight in a war at the edge of their territory. But they wouldn't take the farmer's son because he had a broken leg. And all the neighbors were so excited. So, "Oh, congratulations, that's incredible." And the farmer said, "Perhaps." So I think that's probably the moral of the story. We really have to be grateful for whatever comes our way. We make a plan, we make an effort, but at the end of the day, life will happen as it happens. And when we don't get what we want, or if we don't live up to our own expectations, it is critical that we keep it in perspective, we readjust our expectations, we set new goals, and we continue forward. We all know that success in anything in life is built upon a series of failures. You try everything you can try, find out everything that doesn't work, until hopefully eventually you find out what works.
I see roads